What we're going to be doing is demonstrating, highlighting the Blackstar HT5. Most of the time when people give you a demonstration of this amp, for one, they're giving it to you through a Blackstar speaker, and two, they're not doing anything extra with this amp. They're not showing you its full capabilities by using a pedal board and EQs and things like that. They're basically giving you the amp raw. And I'll do that at first, give you a little bit of crunch and clean tone. A Perception 101. It's one of their more basic of that line. But it's a good mic, especially for up close miking stuff. I have SM-57 and a Sennheiser Evolution. So there's three pretty good mics, and they're all strategically located to give a slightly different aspect of the signal. The condenser mic is mostly getting the edge of the speaker, but it's also getting some of the cone too. The SM-57 is getting mostly cone, but not dead on, and then the Sennheiser is getting your dead on sound. So it's, in a way, it's sort of like a bass, mid, and treble setup. And the mixer that I'm running through is slightly tweaked for each aspect of this. So you've got a little bit of a high and a little bit of a low, but you've also got a little bit of a boost and a little bit of a cut, depending on what the microphone is pulling out. So let me focus back in on the Blackstar. I'm running through two Marshall Golds that I took out of a Valvestate, and I used the Valvestate combo. I cut the I pretty much have to show you a picture of this. I think I actually do have a picture of it on my phone or my computer. So if I can find a picture of it, I'll show you a picture of what I did. But essentially what I did is I cut the 12 inches out of the combo and left the bottom and the top and glued them together, so now it just looks like a Valvestate head. I don't like combo amps. You know, I don't have a hand truck to drag that thing around with. And you know, that little handle they put on top of combo amps just doesn't cut it. You know, I weigh 160 pounds. So for me to drag around an 85-pound amp, you know, that's literally like half my weight dangling there. You know, maybe if I had two of them, I could have some balance. I'd probably rip some muscles in my back. Alright, so I'm going to give you what this thing sounds like. Let me turn off the buzzing noise. Oh yes, I'm also going to be running through my BC Rich custom shop Warlock that I have customized myself because I can't stand that Kerry King, you know, tribal crap that's all over it. I just like a straight black guitar with some chromey stuff on it. This is here to cover up the hole from the what the hell do you call that thing? The pickup that I took out. I replaced the EMGs with just this one alternative 8 pickup, and this I made, you know, because there was like four knobs on here, and I don't like all those knobs. I just like a volume knob. That's all I need. So this is here to cover up the holes. Then I painted it. I stuck chrome tremolo bar on there. I don't use tremolos myself, but you know, since it has the cutout for that, I replaced it with a chrome one. And then I also put chrome stuff up here and skull and crossbones, because skulls and crossbones are yummy. Very nice sounding amp by itself, I will say, but we're not going to get into all that. I'm not a blues guitar player, I'm a metal guitar player. So as you can tell, it's sort of a little bit flat. You know, it sounds good, and if I cranked it up really loud, it would break up a little bit more. But I didn't buy this amp so that I could crank it up. I bought this amp so that I could have a nice warm, or not warm, a nice crunchy sound with the dynamics of valves. Whereas America says tubes. I'm American, maybe I should say tube. It would probably sound a little bit better if I was running those EMGs through it, but I prefer to create the compression and the boost myself. So now we're going to step up to my pedal board. Yes, I do have it sitting upright. And the reason why I do that is only because I need the floor space. And I don't step on any of the pedals. They're always all on, except for that one on the floor. So I'll go through piece by piece what they all are. And I'll show you what the difference is as we go through in order. So aside from the chromatic tuner, the first thing that it goes into is distortion. I've used a few different distortions, and the best one that I've found is this Visual Sound Jekyll and Hyde pedal. I only use the what is it? The Hyde section. I don't use the Jekyll section. I just don't need it. And if somebody out there has a Son of Hyde pedal, I would be happy to make a swap. I would give them this Jekyll and Hyde pedal for just their Son of Hyde, just so I can shrink up a little space. I don't really want to buy one, but you know, you catch my drift. Alright, so the first thing that goes on is that. You can tell immediately that there's a huge more amount of drive than there was previous to this. Okay, now the next thing that I have is this compressor. Turn that on. So as you see, there's even more noise. So what's happening is, you notice I've got this little route box here, and what this does is lets me switch between the you know, the distorted chain and what is also my non-distorted chain. Okay, so that's basically what I have going in when I have distortion going. Now on the effects loop, which is very important, I have this MXR 10 band EQ. It's not the Kerry King one because I don't need a stereo EQ. That's the only difference between this one and the Kerry King one, is Kerry King one has two outputs. So the effects loop first goes into the oral exciter. This is the world famous Aphex oral exciter. What that does is that just makes things sound much more brilliant. And then it goes into the EQ, and then the EQ goes into the noise gate, then the noise gate goes into the reverb. You never want to have a noise gate after a reverb. So I'll let you hear what this sounds like, and this is pretty much Chris sound right here. Oh, by the way, when I'm facing this direction, I can't stop the noise. So if I was to turn around, I don't have any noise. So we'll just use the volume knob as a noise gate right now. So let me show you the difference between the Aphex on and off. right, and on. It makes a gigantic difference. Okay, so going back to the route box, these two things here go into the route box and then get fed into the head. So when I turn this on with the red LEDs, now it's basically like a pre-loop that I can switch back and forth. Though I'm wearing socks now, so I can't press them both at the same time. But if I've got shoes on, I can step on that and hit both of them. Now this is sort of like a different kind of deal where sometimes I'll just press these two and go to this, what I call the clean channel, but without turning the clean channel on the amp on, leaving it on the drive channel. And what you've got there is, I'm trying to read the name of it. I can't even tell. It's like Psilocy. Alright, my camera stopped, but it didn't really matter because what I was doing on the computer, you know, most of the guitar is all being recorded through the computer. Later on, when I'm editing this, I'll cut the sound from the camera so that you hear a nice pure sound from the mics and stuff. Usually I have this at a pretty low volume on my guitar. And the reason for that is because I've got it set up to drive the driven channel pretty hard. So I'll let you hear what that sounds like. As you can tell, there's definitely an effect on it. Sort of sounds like a half-cocked wah in a way, but with a little bit more of a sort of acid trippy sound. So you want to run a Blackstar HT5 head, you can do it, and you can get really, really, really good sound out of it. But in all reality, it takes a little bit of help. It's not the most overkill amp that you're gonna get. It's not even, you know, really comparable to some of the other Blackstar amps that you'll get, you know, the more expensive, higher powered ones. But it's a good frickin' amp. It's one of the best sounding amps I've ever owned. You know, I've used some modeling amps before, and those things can sound pretty good, but they're not quite on the level of a tube valve driven amp. I have this here. AMT SS20. I used this for a really long time. And this is basically the same thing as that head, in my opinion. It's a good sounding preamp, but it needs a little bit of help. I basically had to use all this stuff through this. So I guess, you know, if you're not a buy it out of the box kind of guy, or you're not going to buy a Marshall JVM 410, if you're not going to have one of those, then you probably are going to have to do stuff like this to get like a really good metal sounding sound. I really can't think of much else to tell you. Never buy an amp of any kind that doesn't have an effects loop. That's Chris's advice to you. First thing that you say to the guy at the store or the pawn shop, does it have an effects loop? Yeah. Does it have a tube preamp? Yeah. Everything else is negotiable. But you need the tube preamp, and you need the effects loop, because that's what the amp itself, the head itself, is the core of what's going on. It's very important for it to have a couple features. You know, your preamp, critical for it to be a valve preamp. You know, that's why there's just such a dynamic difference between that a solid state preamp and a valve preamp. Ask a real guitar player, any real guitar player, what they would use. And like I said, the power amp it's fairly negotiable, but the tube, there has to be a tube in there somewhere making the bulk of the distortion. There are people out there that don't use them, but not a lot. Alright, I think I've talked enough.